Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. Um, when I'm supposed to be, I'm not supposed to be here doing this video, but it's the way things turned out. My wife and I were supposed to go on a 4-month tour of Europe. We left March 3rd, and after 2 weeks, we decided to pack it in and come home. Things getting crazy with the coronavirus, and ended up shortening our trip. Uh, we did get to London, and I did have time to go record digging. So that's what this is about, records I found in London. We actually got to London March 3rd, and the next night, the March 4th, we went to Ronnie Scott's, which is a great jazz club in London, and we got to see a show called Brubeck's Play Brubeck. So it was Dave Brubeck's 3 sons plus a saxophone player playing his music. Let's see, the piano player was his eldest son, Darius Brubeck. The bassist was Chris Brubeck, who's the middle son, played bass and also played trombone, electric bass and trombone. And the drummer was Dan Brubeck, the younger son, who was just killer. And they had a saxophone player with them, Dave O'Higgins, and he played alto as well as soprano and tenor sax. I guess each 3 of them have their own bands that they play in. The eldest son, Darius, is a music professor. They only get together maybe once or twice a year to play their father's music. So they did this at Ronnie Scott's, and it was fantastic. I mean, these super professional musicians really know their stuff, obviously know their father's music, and just were great. They started off with the song you're hearing in the background right now, which is Blue Rondo a la Turk from the Time Out album. They also played something from Dave Brubeck's album Impressions of Japan, and a bunch of other stuff I can't remember exactly. And they ended up with Take 5. They played about an hour and a half, and were just, what a great show, fantastic. Darius, the piano player, really looks like his father too, so it was sort of weird seeing him there. But it was a great show. Really loved it. So London, after the second day, our daughter lives in York, England. So we got to go up to York to see her, which was good. Then we flew down to Porto, Portugal, which we absolutely loved. Fantastic. Then we went down to Lisbon. And by the time we got to Lisbon, we realized the jig was up and this was not going to happen. Actually, today we're supposed to be flying to Sevilla, Spain. That's not going to happen, obviously. So after a couple of days in Lisbon, we decided to pack it in and come home. We flew back up to London and spent a couple of days in London. My wife went fabric and yarn shopping. She's a big sewer and knitter. And when she did that, I went record shopping. So, first place I went to was a place called Flashback Records. I guess they have 3 stores. And we went to the store in Islington. I went to the store in Islington. And they had all their records on the top floor was all new vinyl. Downstairs in the basement was all used records. And they did stuff, I guess they do mostly in Europe, certainly in London. They don't have the records in the sleeves. And even the sleeves that they were displaying were mostly photocopied colors of the sleeve. The real sleeve was in the back along with the records. So I was going through, I was looking for stuff I can't find here in the States, UK pressings, and I found this one on the wall. I was very happy to get it added to my collection, and it's the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night. I have the US copy, obviously, but real happy to have an original, not an original, but an early UK pressing on Parlophone. It's stereo, which I wish was a mono, but I'll take what I can get. You all know the EMI Parlophone label. I haven't really looked it up yet to see which pressing it is, but it's a UK pressing, really clean. So happy to have that in my collection. What I did like about it, though, when you bring the sleeve or the copy of the sleeve up to the counter to buy the record, the guy digs out the record with the sleeve and everything, and he said, all right, here's the record. Please open it up and check it out and make sure it's what you want. And how many times in the U.S. have you been in stores, they say, don't touch the vinyl, and they give you a hard time about taking records out of the sleeves. So it was really nice for the guy to encourage me to open it up, look at the vinyl, and make sure it's exactly what I wanted. So happy to add that to my collection. And while I was doing old 60s rock, I happened to find the Stones Between the Buttons, which I have also, the US version, but the US version has some different songs on it. So I wanted the original, which is nice. Again, it's stereo, but which is why it wasn't as expensive as a lot of the other ones, which is why I could actually afford it. On Decca, the purple Decca label. So happy to have those two original UK pressings in the collection. This was like this. I think this is like 14 pounds, which I guess it comes like $18 US. So not too bad at all. And happy to have that. So that was the first record store we went to, and from there I got on a bus and I went to Soho in London. And in Soho, there were, I think, 4 stores right near each other, which was great, within 2 blocks of each other. Because it was sort of cool and rainy day, as London usually is. The next store I went to was Reckless Records. I didn't get yeah, I did. I get a little card from Reckless Records. Tried to pick up some swag so you could see what was like. And they were the same thing. They had their records downstairs, and they had to bring it up to the register, and they gave you the record to check out. Didn't find too much of it. When I asked every record store I went into, the first thing I asked for, because I've been looking for this for a while, was John Mayall, Blues Breakers, Hard Road, the album with Peter Green on guitar. And first store we went to didn't have it. Flashback Records didn't have it. Reckless Records, guy told me to look at the thing. He didn't have it. But I did find this, which is pretty cool. It is the Best of Peter Green, the Splinter Group, 2-record set from 2019, so it's fairly new. But 2 records in one case, which is not a gatefold. No booklet or anything to tell you about the songs, no information really. But Peter Green, so at least I got that out of it, which was good. Happy to have that. Haven't listened to this one yet, looking forward to it. Also, when I was in there, they had a whole bunch of these. It's The Clash. And this is a recorded live. It says Japan Edition skull-colored vinyl. This is a legendary concert broadcast from the Capitol Theater, Passaic, 1980. So I guess Passaic, New Jersey, but I didn't know there was a Capitol Theater in Passaic. It's a live recording. The recording sucks. I mean, it really is. It's really terrible recording. But the record's cool. And it says a vinyl, what did it say? A skull-colored vinyl. But it's not. It's just white marbleized vinyl. Which is still pretty cool. I like the label. The label's pretty cool. And, you know, it sounds okay for what it is for a live recording. From the 80s, I guess. And they had like 3 or 4 different editions of the same kind of recording with different songs on it. I picked the Guns of Brixton because it had Clash City Rockers, I Fought the Law, Train in Vain, London Calling, Police and Thieves, Bank Robber, Julie's been working for the Drug Squad. A lot of great songs on there. So even though the recording is not the best, and this is not really an Obi, it just sort of looks like an Obi, it's sort of cool to have in the collection. They had 2 or 3 other versions with different songs from different concerts. So happy to have that in my collection. That was, I think, Reckless Records. Then I went to Sister Ray. Right, went to Sister Ray. And here's Sister Ray. Nice little card. Obviously named after the Sister Ray from the Velvet Underground. And I'm looking around, and I saw lots of stuff, but nothing was jumping out at me. So I decided, all right, I guess it's not going to happen here. I guess I'm going to leave. Plus, Sister Ray had a lot of stuff jam-packed tight, which I really hate. And there were a lot of people in the store. So I said, all right, I guess this isn't happening for me today. And as I'm walking out, taking one quick look around, I see a small section of Japanese pressings jazz albums. So I said, all right, I gotta check this out. So I went over and I found this great Ray Bryant with the Obi. Ray Bryant Trio, recorded 1957, I think, on Prestige, Japan, made in Japan. Here's the inner sleeve. And it's a beautiful record, great piano player. With a guy, Ike Isaacs in bass, who I don't know, and Specs Wright on drums. Album is called Piano, 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 Piano. And it's on the yellow and black Prestige label. Love that label. Everybody knows that. So really played this and it sounds freaking beautiful. It just sounds great. And clean as a whistle. Paid up for this one, but that's okay. I don't get to London very often, so I figured I would pay up a little more than I normally do. But I'm really enjoyed that one. And then the other, I bought a second one at the that store, and this is a Russ Freeman Quartet and Chet Baker. And this is, again, Japanese pressing, beautiful album. Chet Baker, Shelly Manne on drums, and Leroy Vinegar on bass. Sounds almost new. Beautiful record. Liner notes written by Andre Previn. 1957, I think it was recorded. And this is on Pacific Jazz. You've seen the black Pacific Jazz label. So I was really happy with this one too. Again, beautiful recording. Sounds fantastic. Then I went to, the last store I went to in London was, where was it? Cosmos, no, not Cosmos Records, Sounds of the Universe. And it was mostly hip-hop, electronica, dub, stuff like that, which I really wasn't interested in. Spent some time there, but couldn't find anything that I wanted. Again, asked for that same John Mayall Blues Breakers album, no go. All right, so that was London. Then on our last day, next to last day there in London, my wife and I took a train down to a town called Rye. We're about an hour and a half south. And it's this quintessential little London, England town where you walk down the street and there's a pub and the sign says this pub was opened in 1432. And you see buildings from 14 to 1500s and thatch roofs. And it was just great. So my wife went to looking for some fabric at a fabric store there. And I had heard that there was a record store called Grammar School Records. So I finally find Grammar School Records, and it's in a building that was built in 1637 or 1620s as a grammar school. And he had a record store in there. And I go in, and there was a small store, and there were two guys, and one guy's behind the register, and another guy working the floor. And the first thing I say to him, I'm looking for John Mayall Blues Breakers, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, if we had it, it'd be over here and in the M. So I go, look in the M, nothing there. And my biggest pet peeve, this store was my biggest pet peeve. They had too many records. Each bin was so stacked, you couldn't flip through the records. So I had to take out a handful of records out of the bin, flip through them separately, and then I could flip through the records in the bin and then put them back and do each thing like that. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Anyway, I was digging around through there and I saw this record. And I didn't know this record. I was looking for her other one, but I'm happy to get this. And it's Joanne Kelly. And I was looking for her first album, which the guys, of course, is very expensive and hard to find now. But this was, I listened to this yesterday, and I love this record. This is so good. I wish I had a date on it. 1988. Maybe 1988. There's a picture of Joanne. Terrible picture. And the band. And it's on Open Records, which I never heard, but this is a great blues album, great blues singer. She plays 12-string guitar on it, and I just really loved it. Really surprised, because I was a little hesitant, because everyone always raves about her first album, So I was like, well, maybe it's not as good. Maybe it's like it was a one-off where she had one great album and that's it. But this one was great. So I figured I'm done. I'm about to leave the store, and I look around and I said, oh, I forgot to look up on the wall to see if there's anything special on the wall. I look up on the wall, and what do I see up on the wall? John Mayall's Blues Breakers with Peter Green. And I was like, it's a fairly small store. How do you not know what you have up on the wall? So I said, that's the record I want. We pulled it down. The guy behind the counter, I guess was the owner, said that he had bought a collection from one of the big shots at Decca Records. And then he bought another collection, which was the owner, one of the big shots' son, who got a bunch of records from them, from Decca, that he didn't play these records very much. And I have seen a lot of used records, but this is a first UK pressing. It is near a mint condition I've ever seen a used record. If you watched my channel before, you know I don't believe in mint. I don't believe it exists. I've got new records that aren't even mint. And whenever I see people say mint, I go, yeah, right. There's no mint out there. There's near mint, there's no mint. This is as close to mint as I've ever seen. Again, I paid up for it, but I didn't care because I've been looking for this for a while. It's the beautiful Decca Blue Label. Again, it's in stereo. Wish it was mono, but still one of my holy grails. I've been looking for this thing, my white whale. I've been looking for this forever. So happy to be able to pick this up and to get a UK pressing and to get such a clean UK pressing is just beyond. So that's maybe that'll be my screenshot. This is the record I've been looking for like forever. So I was real happy to get that. While I was there, I also picked up 2 magazines, which I'll do a quick show. This one's called Long Live Vinyl. And this issue is the Britpop issue. Not my favorite subject, but interesting magazine. A lot of good stuff in there. And then another magazine I got, this is basically so I can have something to read on the way home, is called Blues Matters. And like the title says, Blues Matters. So that's pretty cool. A lot of good articles and some good reviews of blues albums. So that was good to get. One other record I want to talk about is that right before I left on our trip, I was watching a video by Mazzy. And Mazzy showed this record, and I had to go get it. It's Dave Alvin from the Blasters, along with some other people. He has a new group, I guess. He put out a new group called The Third Mind. And I thought it was going to be more Blasters type music, but it's not at all. It's much more blues psych, and it is fantastic. I was like blown away. I did not expect it to be as good as it is. To me, some of the stuff on here, on Yep Records, love that label. Stuff on here is as good as any blues psych I've ever heard coming out of the 60s or 70s. It is a great album. There's 2 records. The second record, which I guess is only available on the initial pressing, is a redo of Paul Butterfield Band's East West, which was a blues psych classic, and they do such an amazing job on it. It's fantastic. So I was just so impressed with this record. Thanks, Maz. I wouldn't have known about it without you. What a great, great album. So happy to have that. So, like I said, our 4-month trip ended up being 2 weeks. We're back in the States. I'm self-isolating for 2 weeks. Got some food in the house. Got plenty of music to listen to. And hopefully everyone else out there is feeling healthy and happy and no one is sick and everyone's taking care and taking care of them and their families. And remember, wash your hands. Till next time, peace.